Okay, so picture this.
You're
Okay.
you're totally fired up about
Yeah.
this new podcast idea.
You've got your microphone all set up,
Mm-hmm.
but then you hit this wall.
What in the world are you going to talk about?
Right.
How do you make it something people
Well,
actually want to listen to?
It's like staring at a blank page,
Ugh.
you know?
Yeah.
And that's where having a plan...
Can make all the difference.
Okay, so luckily for us,
We've got Ibrahim Kurukulu.
to help us out here,
Yes.
our deep dive today is all about his blog post.
Podcast planning checklist.
I love a good checklist.
And you know?
I am all about a good checklist.
Yeah.
Especially if it means saving time.
And headaches later on.
Yeah. Korokulu, he's all about that structured thinking.
With his background in informatics.
Right.
What I find insightful
Is how he really emphasizes that planning.
isn't just about logistics.
Okay.
It's really about clarity.
It's about understanding what you want to say.
Who you're saying it to.
Yeah. And how to keep your listeners engaged.
So it's about crafting an experience.
Yeah.
And Kurukulu's checklist.
Starts with something pretty key.
Okay.
Defining the why.
What problem are you solving for your listeners?
It's so easy to get caught up in the excitement of it all.
But he brings us back to the core.
Okay.
What value are you offering?
What makes your podcast different?
Yeah.
What makes it stand out?
And that's a question we should all ask ourselves.
Even if we're not launching a podcast or anything like that,
Absolutely.
what's the why behind what we do?
Now, once you've got that purpose down.
It's time to choose the right outfit for the occasion,
Yes.
or in our case.
The format.
Okay.
So many options.
There are a ton of options.
Do you like being in the spotlight?
Sharing your expertise solo,
Right?
or are you drawn to bringing in guests?
The interviews are always fun.
Interviews can be great.
Don't forget those lively panel discussions
Oh, yeah.
where everyone's giving their perspective.
And then there's the one...
I always love, what's that? The narrative format.
Ah, yes.
Like you're listening to a good book.
They're so popular right now, and for good reason.
They are,
It's like that serialized audiobook feel.
but with its own special twist.
So much thought goes into crafting those.
It's like creating a whole world for your listeners.
Right.
Okay, so
You figured out your purpose,
you've landed on a format.
but then what about the actual content?
That's the other big one, right?
How do you beat that fear of the blank page
I've been there.
when it comes to coming up with episode ideas?
Korokulu is all about the outlines
He sees outlining as a way to spark that creativity.
and organize your thoughts at the same time
It's like you need a blueprint.
before you start building a house.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
like that blueprint guides every step of the way, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And a good outline, it's like that for your podcast.
It keeps things flowing,
Keeps you on track.
makes sure the whole thing is structured right. Kurokulu. He suggests brainstorming those potential episode ideas,
Breaking them down into their
that.
main topics.
subtopics,
Hmm?
even jotting down potential guests
Oh, that's smart.
or segments.
That could fit with each topic.
So you're creating like a roadmap for your podcast,
Yeah.
making sure you actually deliver a good listening experience.
And speaking of staying on track,
He's also a big believer in respecting the listener's time.
that's huge.
Thinking about episode length,
Okay.
he points out.
That these shorter podcasts,
Yeah.
a lot of people call them short form,
Right,
they're getting really popular,
which makes sense.
especially for people on the go, you know?
Totally.
Or if you've got a shorter attention span.
It's like sometimes you just want a quick hit of information
Right.
or some quick entertainment.
Exactly.
But then other times,
You're ready to just like dive into something.
yeah, you want to go deep.
A longer listening experience for sure.
And that's where it's important to really understand your audience.
Who are you trying to connect with?
Yeah. Who are you talking to?
What are they like?
What are their listening habits like?
He suggests playing around with different episode lengths.
To see what really works,
See what resonates.
what your audience responds to.
It's all about finding that sweet spot.
And then there's the tone and style.
Okay.
Yes.
This is so important.
For any podcast to get right,
I was just thinking that.
you got to make a good first impression.
It's like choosing an outfit. Right.
Exactly. Like, what are you wearing on a first date?
Korokolu uses that same analogy.
He does.
He compares it to choosing the right outfit for the occasion.
That's great. I love it.
Are you going for something formal?
Like a lecture.
Oh, they
Or
are.
something more casual and conversational.
Right.
Do you want your listeners to feel like
They're just chatting with a friend? Or
Yeah.
are they back in school?
sitting in a lecture hall?
And then there's humor.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
How much humor do you want to use?
Is it a key part of your show?
Or are you going for something more serious?
Right.
Informative?
It all shapes your podcast identity.
How people see it.
Yeah.
And once you've figured that out,
Then it's time to unlock the magic formula.
ooh, I like it.
for your episode structure.
All right, you got to tell me what's the secret.
Well, just like any good story.
Your podcast episode needs a beginning,
Okay.
a middle, and an end.
Mm.
Kurokwelu really stresses this.
Starting strong
Okay.
with a really strong hook.
So what does that look like? What's a good hook?
Think of it like a movie trailer.
Okay.
You want something that grabs people right away.
And makes them want to hear more.
First impressions are everything.
Exactly. Give it an example.
You could start with a question
Okay.
that really gets people thinking, or maybe a short story.
That piques their curiosity.
Okay.
Or how about a surprising fact?
Ooh. I like
Something that makes your topic feel really relevant.
Like, wait, really? Tell me more.
Exactly.
Okay, so you've hooked me.
Now, how do we keep that momentum going?
This is where the good stuff comes in.
The main content.
Okay.
This is where you dive into the topic. Share what you know.
Interview people
Yeah.
or tell your story.
So we're not just like rambling here.
I don't know.
There's a structure.
This is where those outlines come in handy.
Oh, right.
They help you organize your thoughts,
Keep things flowing.
transition smoothly,
Make sure you're delivering the goods
Yeah.
in a way that people actually want to hear.
make it enjoyable to listen to.
It's all about taking them on that journey with you.
But it's not just a one-way street, is it?
Nope.
Kurokuslu talks about engaging with the audience.
It's so important.
Okay, so it's not just about talking at people.
No, not at all.
It's about having a conversation.
Exactly.
So how do we actually do that?
There are a few ways.
You can do Q&A segments.
Answer some listener questions.
Yeah.
Or feature listener stories.
Oh, I like that.
Things that connect to your topic.
It's like you're bringing them on the show.
Right.
They're right there in the studio with us.
And even just acknowledging them.
Yeah.
Mentioning a comment from a previous episode.
Or a social media interaction.
That's so huge, though.
It makes them feel seen
It really does.
and heard.
Okay, so we've covered the beginning.
We've talked about the middle.
What about the end?
The grand finale.
Yes.
The closing.
The outro.
Kurokoulu suggests wrapping things up,
Okay.
summarizing those key takeaways.
So people really remember what they learned.
Exactly.
Tying it all together.
But it's not just about summarizing either.
Okay.
The outro is your chance to keep them engaged.
Encourage them to connect more.
Right. Tell them to share their thoughts on social media.
Check out those resources you mentioned.
Or even subscribe to your podcast.
It's like that last little nudge to turn them into a true fan.
Exactly. Kurokoulu also gave us some really great advice
He did.
about outlining those first few episodes.
Yeah, he did.
Didn't he have a whole framework for that?
He did. He did. It's a really smart move for anyone who's just starting out.
It's like setting the stage. So
Yeah.
what's the game plan?
He suggests starting with an intro episode.
The classic.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show.
Exactly.
Introduce yourself.
Introduce your co-hosts, if you haven't.
Tell everyone why you're so passionate about this topic.
Give them a sneak peek of what's to come.
Like a movie trailer for your podcast.
Yes.
Make them want to hit that subscribe button.
Exactly. Then episode 2,
Yeah.
jump right into your main theme.
I love it.
Pick something you're really excited about
Okay.
and just go deep.
Showcase your expertise right.
This is where you share those insights.
That unique perspective.
Hook them.
Okay, that makes sense.
And then episode 3,
All right, what's the strategy for episode 3?
this is where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
This is where you build that community.
Oh, I like it.
You could follow up on something from episode 2.
Maybe there was a point that people really responded to.
Okay.
Or you could use this episode to answer listener questions.
Oh, that's smart.
Feature their stories.
Okay.
Things that connect back to the topic.
I love that. It's like you're telling your listeners,
Hey, we're listening.
yeah,
We hear you.
you matter.
Let's have a conversation.
Exactly. And by bringing in that listener feedback so early,
You're showing them that this is a two-way street.
it's not just us talking at you.
Right.
We're all in this together.
And that's what I love about podcasting.
Me too.
It's about connecting with people.
Yeah.
Sharing those ideas.
Building a community.
Exactly.
And to think it all starts with a little planning.
a little bit of planning goes a long way.
That's all it takes.
With Kurokoulu's tips,
We're ready to take on the podcasting world.
I'm feeling inspired.
Me too.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Into podcast planning.
I have one question for you
Okay, shoot.
and for everyone listening out there.
If your podcast was a guest at a party, what's that one story
It would tell.
that would make everyone want to listen?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Think about it.
Who knows?
Maybe next year you'll be sharing that story.
On your very own podcast.
I love it.
Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.